For more than 300 years, the U.S. has been a rice-growing country. Rice farming thrives in the southeastern states and in northern California's fertile valleys. The diversity of U.S.-grown rice might surprise many cooks. In addition to the popular short, medium, and long grain varieties, other types of U.S.-grown rice are gaining in popularity. With the whole grain trend rising, brown rice and other 100% whole grain rice varieties, like Aromatic Red or U.S. Black Japonica, are attracting the attention of chefs nationwide. Variety comes in many forms, from texture that is both fluffy and separate when cooked to moist and clingy, and flavors that range from delicately scented to as aromatic as freshly roasted nuts. Rice is a favorite grain around the globe that offers endless menu possibilities that are authentic, adventurous, and delicious. In the following video, you'll learn about the many rice varieties grown in the United States and how to use them to cook delicious dishes. You'll find nutritional information, storage tips, video cooking demonstrations, and recipe ideas that you can start using today. Rice will add variety to your menu and dollars to your bottom line when you take advantage of the many choices of U.S. rice available to you. So join the chefs at the Culinary Institute of America at Greystone in this video exploration of an ancient and prized grain indispensable on menus around the globe. Completely unprocessed rice, direct from the farm, is called rough rice or paddy rice. Each grain of rough rice is composed of 4 parts: the hull, bran, germ, and endosperm. During milling, each of these 4 parts is processed. The hull, the outermost layer, is inedible and is always removed. The resulting rice is called brown or whole grain rice, which is composed of the bran, germ, and endosperm. The color of the bran layer determines the color of the whole grain rice, which can vary between red, brown, and black. Various antioxidants create these color variations. In order to lengthen the shelf life of rice, the majority of the world's rice crop is further processed to remove the bran and germ. Some of those parts contain oil that can go rancid. Removing them depletes the rice of certain nutrients and fiber, and for that reason, most of the white rice sold in the U.S. is enriched with a light coating of thiamine, niacin, iron, and folic acid. It's important to avoid washing or rinsing enriched rice in order to retain the nutrients. There's some confusion about what parboiled rice is. Parboiled rice is pressure steamed in its hull and dried before milling, which partially gelatinizes the starch within the rice kernel, resulting in grains that are firmer, and cooked rice that has a fluffier, more separate grain. During steaming, nutrients from the bran layer are driven into the endosperm, producing white rice with similar nutrient levels as enriched rice. This rice holds up well to challenges such as sitting on a steam table without becoming overly soft. Pre-cooked rice is completely different from parboiled rice. Parboiled rice is basically uncooked rice and requires full cooking. Pre-cooked rice is completely cooked and dehydrated. As a result, pre-cooked rice only requires rehydration or a significantly shorter cooking time than regular or parboiled rice. Rice contains 2 starch fractions, amylose and amylopectin. The ratio of these 2 fractions determines whether a particular rice is sticky, a descriptive term with no negative connotations, or fluffy, which is to say more separate when cooked. Greater amylose produces rice that does not stick together when cooked. Certain types of rice, such as long grain white rice or basmati rice, cook into very separate grains due to their high amylose content. Conversely, cooked rice low in amylose is sticky. Dishes such as risotto or sushi use these rices to create a flowing, creamy consistency or sticky characteristic suited to each dish. There are many thousands of different varieties of rice grown worldwide. A much smaller number are grown in the U.S. and are grouped into 3 basic categories according to their size: long, medium, and short grain. Long grain rice is slender and typically 4 to 5 times as long as it is wide. It should be at least 6 millimeters long. It has a high amylose content and thus cooks into fluffy, separate, relatively firm grains. In the United States, long grain rice is commonly served as a side dish and is often used in entrees or soups and pilafs. Medium grain rice is 2 to 3 times longer than wide and averages about 5 to 6 millimeters in length. Medium grain rice is moister and stickier than long grain rice. It's good for risotto, sushi, rice pudding, and congee. Short grain rice has an oval shape and is typically 4 to 5 millimeters long and 2.5 millimeters wide. Like medium grain types, it becomes noticeably sticky and soft when cooked. One of the benefits of rice in food service is that it's a vehicle for so many flavors, from stir-fry to paella. But there are some rice varieties that are prized for their own unique flavor. These aromatic rices, like U.S. basmati and U.S. jasmine rice, exude a nutty or popcorn-like aroma that enhances the ambiance of food service establishments just the way freshly baked bread might. Depending on the specific rice, aromatic varieties of rice may be available as either brown or white rices. U.S. basmati rice is an aromatic long-grain rice that has a distinctive aroma and flavor similar to that of popcorn or roasted nuts. When cooked, it swells primarily lengthwise, resulting in long, slender grains that are dry, separate, and fluffy. U.S. jasmine rice is similar to basmati, except that the cooked grains do not elongate and are slightly softer, moister, and cling together. U.S. aromatic red rice has a deep honey red bran. Cooked grains have a savory, nutty flavor and are slightly chewy. U.S. black japonica is an aromatic rice with a richly colored dark black bran layer. Cooked grains are slightly chewy with a subtle sweet spiciness. While wild rice is an aquatic grass and not technically related to the rice family, it does play an important role in providing interest, flavor, and texture to white and wild rice blends. These are a popular addition to food service menus. Wild rice is a whole grain, a trend that's gaining momentum in food service. Rice is one of the most versatile ingredients in a food service operation, and most kitchens stock rice in bulk. Rice is packed in a wide variety of sizes for food service, but most commonly in 25 or 50-pound packages. Specialty varieties are often sold in small 1 to 5 pound bags or boxes. Uncooked rice should be stored in a dry, cool environment. Rice will absorb strong aromas, so it's very important to store rice far away from foods such as onions or garlic. Keeping rice in securely sealed containers keeps out unwanted moisture and eliminates the risk of infestation. Brown rice, because of its oil content, is susceptible to oxidation, which can lead to rancidity. As a result, brown rice has a shorter shelf life of only 6 months. Keeping brown rice in a refrigerator or a cooler will extend its shelf life. White rice, if stored properly, has an almost indefinite shelf life. The vast number of ways to cook rice attest to its versatility. The decision of which method to use should take into consideration all of the following: the type of rice being used, the desired finished product, the cooking equipment available, and the amount of time that you have available. Regardless of which cooking method is chosen, the proportion of liquid and the cooking time are key elements to a quality finished product. Most methods of rice cookery require a measured amount of liquid to ensure a properly cooked product. The general rule is 2 parts of liquid to 1 part rice, by volume. Rice generally triples in volume during cooking. Step 1. Combine rice, water, and salt in a heavy pot that has a tight-fitting lid. Step 2. Bring all the ingredients to a boil. Step 3. Reduce the heat to a simmer and cover the pot. Continue to cook at a simmer over low heat for 18 to 20 minutes, or the appropriate time for the type of rice being cooked. Step 4. When the rice is tender, remove it from the heat and fluff it with a fork to allow the steam to escape. The same procedure can be done by placing the rice and salt in a hotel pan, taking the pan to an oven set at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, adding the right amount of boiling water and covering the pan and baking it for about 30 minutes. This method is helpful in situations where stovetop space is limited, and the results are exactly the same. Rice cookers are becoming increasingly popular in food service operations. Make sure yours is well insulated to ensure that the cooker cooks the rice evenly and can hold it without loss of quality. Rice cookers use a thermostat and a timer to cook the rice for precisely the right amount of time and hold the rice hot without overcooking it. Set the rice cooker up in the same way as cooking in measured liquid, following the ratios of liquid to rice suggested for your rice cooker. Because a rice cooker has a tight seal, there's often less evaporation. Reduce liquid slightly according to the manufacturer's directions. Commercial steam ovens can be used also to cook rice in the same way as baking it. The only difference is you don't cover the rice, and it takes about half the amount of time. An alternative method for cooking rice is to boil it in a large pot of lightly salted water until it's tender and then drain. This method yields very separate grains, but it also washes away the nutrient layer of enriched rice, so it's not recommended for everyday rice preparation. Many rice dishes, such as rice pilafs or ethnic dishes like Brazilian rice that accompanies feijoada, are prepared first by sautéing rice in oil with or without other ingredients like garlic and onions, prior to boiling or steaming the rice. The result is a flavorful, more separate grain. This technique is very popular and widely used in food service. After sautéing your rice, continue with the steamed rice method or the oven method. The fact that rice is a cereal product means that it's subject to spoilage by foodborne bacteria. Rice should be held for service in a steam table or a warmer above 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Hot rice should be cooled as quickly as possible by transferring it to a shallow pan. Cool this rice to 70 degrees Fahrenheit within 2 hours. Rice should then be wrapped, dated, and refrigerated. Rice may be reheated on top of the stove, in a steamer, or in the oven. When rice is reheated, be sure that it reaches a core temperature of at least 165 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 74 degrees Celsius. As with all cooking, the quality of the finished product is affected by a number of different factors. In rice cookery, the amount of liquid required, the cooking time, and the texture of the cooked rice can be influenced by all of the following factors. The size, the type, and the shape of the pan. Shallower pans tend to cook faster than pots. The seal of the lid on a pot or a pan will affect how much liquid is absorbed by the rice and how much evaporates as steam. Tighter fitting lids speed up the cooking process slightly. Batch size. A larger batch takes longer to come up to temperature and longer to cook, and requires slightly less liquid than a smaller batch of rice. Depending on how the rice has been stored and how long after harvest the rice was purchased, the grains may cook to be firmer or softer, thus influencing the amount of liquid needed to properly hydrate it for your application. When starting in on a new shipment of rice, it's always prudent to make a test batch to be sure that your ratios are as accurate as possible. Whole grain rice takes about twice as long to cook as white rice because it takes time for the water to penetrate the bran. But for many of your customers, they'll think the effort was worth it in terms of the unique flavor and health benefits that whole grain rice offers. Always check the preparation directions on the package for any type of rice that you're using. We hope this video provides useful information for choosing and using many types of U.S.-grown rice. From taste and texture to cooking techniques to contemporary recipes for your menu, rice is easy to prepare when you know the basics. There's no limit to the ways you can express your creativity with U.S.-grown rice. For salads and soups to main dishes and desserts, rice is the perfect foundation for authentic and adventurous cuisines from around the globe. U.S. Rice, a world of great ideas.